London holds its breath when the heirs return. The shift is never announced with trumpets, yet it resonates more loudly than any ceremonial fanfare. Summer, with its gauzy days of Highland retreat, has drawn to its inevitable close. Balmoral's granite walls have exhaled the last of their secrecy, and with that exhale, the monarchy pivots. Into the crisp clarity of autumn step William and Catherine, Prince and Princess of Wales, bearing on their shoulders the expectations of a crown that never sleeps and a nation that always watches. Theirs is not just the end of a holiday, it is the resumption of a performance written generations before they were born. Balmoral is a sanctuary, yes, but it is also a rehearsal room, the place where kings and queens have absorbed silence before returning to the raw. And this year, as King Charles and Queen Camilla basked in the fading glow of their Highland refuge, it was William and Catherine whose re-emergence commanded the stage. The chosen venue? The Natural History Museum, that Victorian temple of knowledge, reimagined as a garden of urban renewal. A setting less gilded than a palace hall, yet heavy with symbolism, life, growth, continuity, the very themes that stalk the monarchy itself. The announcement landed like a carefully aimed stone into a still pond. No balcony, no proclamation, but the slow ripple of inevitability. Rebecca English, one of the court's most trusted chroniclers, offered the first glimpse. The Prince and Princess of Wales would be present in London, September 4th, to walk through the museum's redeveloped gardens, to meet children, to touch the future not with words alone but with soil and seedlings. A return crafted not around spectacle but around substance. Why gardens? Why now? Because symbols matter. For decades, Queen Elizabeth II used Balmoral as her private chapel of endurance, her retreat where duty and rest intertwined. Her children and grandchildren inherited not only her estate but her methods, absorb strength in silence, then emerge renewed, armed with gestures that carry resonance beyond their modest scale. For William and Catherine, the gardens of the Natural History Museum are not simply plant beds, they are proof that life thrives even in constricted soil, that hope can bloom in cities as relentlessly grey as politics. The rhythm of royal life always follows a pulse: retreat, return, reveal. And the reveal, this time, bears the unmistakable imprint of a monarchy conscious of its fragile compact with modernity. It is not enough for heirs to wave from carriages, they must enter classrooms, step into laboratories, crouch beside children kneeling in dirt, and declare by presence that they understand the anxieties of tomorrow's voters. Catherine, as patron of the museum, has long carried this banner. Her visits have not been photo ops but steady threads in a larger tapestry, weaving science into the fabric of royal symbolism, making biodiversity not a footnote but a headline. Consider the weight of timing. Only hours before Kensington Palace released the announcement, Buckingham Palace painted a softer tableau: Charles and Camilla at Balmoral, music echoing against old stone, laughter rising in Highland air. A portrait of domesticity, of a monarch and his consort claiming a pocket of ordinary happiness. Then, the counternote. The heirs in London, preparing for duty. The baton, invisible yet undeniable, passed across generations in a matter of hours. It was choreography by calendar, as deliberate as any coronation oath. For the public, the return marks continuity. For the insiders, it signals strategy. William and Catherine did not choose the Natural History Museum randomly. Its redeveloped gardens feed directly into the National Education Nature Park, a program designed not only to educate children about biodiversity but to anchor environmental responsibility inside the national curriculum itself. This is monarchy aligning itself with pedagogy, an institution insisting it is not ornamental but essential, not a relic but a guide. Imagine the scene: children bending over small plots of earth, explaining to a future king and queen how pollinators thrive, how soil regenerates, how even in cities the green can return. The symbolism is piercing. For decades the monarchy was seen as guardians of tradition, now its heirs are cast as gardeners of renewal. Where Charles made his legacy in conservation rhetoric, William and Catherine translate it into classroom soil, into lessons that will outlive speeches. But beneath the pastoral image lies a deeper tension. Every re-entry of the heirs is also a rehearsal for succession. Charles, though still firmly on the throne, governs under the shadow of mortality whispered in headlines and speculated in corridors. Camilla, queen by his side, smiles in photographs yet faces a public that has never fully embraced her. And so the stage tilts toward the younger generation, toward the couple whose marriage embodies stability, whose children embody continuity, whose approval ratings dwarf those of the reigning pair. The museum visit is not just an event, it is a reminder that the monarchy's future does not lie in Balmoral evenings but in London mornings, not in the laughter of a king's private circle but in the hands of children who will remember that the Prince and Princess of Wales stood in their classroom garden. Catherine's role cannot be overstated. For years she has worn the mantle of Britain's unspoken queen, not yet crowned, but already enthroned in the hearts of her people. Every appearance strengthens the perception that she is not waiting for history but quietly shaping it. The museum, an institution she has long cherished, is more than patronage, it is partnership. By returning here, first after Balmoral, she declares that her reign, when it comes, will be rooted in growth, in the natural order, in the conviction that modern royalty must cultivate as well as command. William, too, understands the stakes. His Earthshot Prize has framed him as a global environmental statesman. To appear beside Catherine in the gardens is to weave their causes into one narrative, the monarchy as environmental custodian. For a crown often accused of being archaic, such symbolism is survival strategy. The public sees a family, smiling and listening to children. The institution sees a firewall against irrelevance. And what of Charles and Camilla, watching from afar as autumn begins? Their Balmoral respite was intended as continuity, yet it risks appearing as retreat. The king, bound by duty yet constrained by age, cannot match the vitality of his son and daughter-in-law. The queen, long a figure of controversy, cannot command the instinctive loyalty Catherine receives. The contrast is stark, and perhaps intentional, a monarchy preparing its audience, gently but unmistakably, for a shift already in motion. The return of the heirs is always more than the sum of its engagements. It is choreography, narrative, inheritance made visible. This September, the Natural History Museum becomes a stage where seeds are planted in more ways than one. Children will dig into earth, William and Catherine will dig into the future. What grows from those seeds, whether blossoms of public trust or vines of expectation too heavy to bear, remains to be seen. But the act itself is history in miniature, the monarchy renewing itself not with gold and trumpets but with soil and silence, with the simple gesture of heirs who know that to rule tomorrow, they must listen today. And so the season turns. Balmoral's echoes fade. The museum's gates open. Two figures step forward, not with crowns upon their heads but with duty etched upon their faces. The nation watches, as it always does, reading in their steps the promise that the story continues, that continuity is not accident but choice. In gardens reborn, amidst children who will one day recall the day they met a prince and princess, the crown rehearses its next act. And the lesson, as old as monarchy itself, is whispered again. Survival lies not in retreat, nor in ceremony, but in renewal.